Good day, netizens! I am Norlailah Guro, under the course of Bachelor of Technology and Livelihood Education, major in Home Economics. And this is JEC 109, Life and Works of Rizal. This video contains of the following: summary and analysis of El Filibusterismo, significant characters of the said novel, the friends of Nolimi Tangere and El Filibusterismo, and lastly, lessons learned from the novel. Summary of El Filibusterismo. The protagonist of El Filibusterismo is a jeweler named Simon. He is the new identity of Crisostomo Ibarra who, in the prequel Noli, escaped from pursuing soldiers. It is revealed that Crisostomo dug up his buried treasure and fled to Cuba, becoming richer and befriending Spanish officials. After many years, the newly fashioned Simon returns to the Philippines where he is able to freely move around. He is a powerful figure not only because of his wealth but also because he is a good friend and advisor of the Governor General. Outwardly, Simon is a friend of Spain. However, in secret, he is plotting a terrible revenge against the Spanish authorities. His two obsessions are to rescue his paramour Maria Clara from the nunnery of Santa Clara and to foment a Philippine revolution against Spain. The story of El Filibusterismo begins on board a steamer ship sailing up the Pasig River from Manila to Laguna de Bay. A man of wealth and mystery, Simon is a very close friend and confidant of the Spanish Governor General. Because of his great influence in Malacanang, he was called the Brown Cardinal or the Black Eminence. By using his wealth and political influence, he encourages corruption in the government, promotes the oppression of the masses, and hastens the moral degradation of the country so that the people may become desperate and fight. He smuggles arms into the country with the help of a rich Chinese merchant, Quiroga, who aspires to be Chinese consul of Manila. His first attempt to begin the armed uprising did not materialize because at the last hour, he hears the sad news that Maria Clara died in the nunnery. In his agonizing moment of bereavement, he did not give the signal for the outbreak of hostilities. After a long time of illness brought about by the better looks of Maria Clara, Simon perfects his plan to overthrow the government. On the occasion of the wedding of Paulita Gomez and Juanito Pelaez, he gives a wedding gift to them, a beautiful lamp. Only he and his confidential associates, Basilio, Sisa's son who joined his revolutionary cause, know that when the wick of his lamp burns lower, the nitroglycerin hidden in its secret compartment will explode, destroying the house where the wedding feast is going to be held, killing all the guests, including the Governor General, the friars, and the government officials. Simultaneously, all the government buildings in Manila will be blown by Simon's followers. As the wedding feast begins, the poet Izagani, who has been rejected by Paulita because of his reveler ideas, is standing outside the house, sorrowfully watching the merriment inside. Basilio, his friend, warns him to go away because the lighted lamp will soon explode. Upon hearing the horrible secret of the lamp, Izagani realizes that his beloved Paulita is in grave danger. To save her life, he rushes into the house, seizes the lighted lamp, and hurls it into the river where it explodes. The revolutionary plot is thus discovered. Simon is cornered by the soldiers, but he escapes. Mortally wounded and carrying his treasure chest, he seeks refuge in the home of Padre Florentino by the sea. The Spanish authorities, however, learns of his presence in the house of Padre Florentino. Lieutenant Perez of the Guardia Civil informs the priest by letter that he will come at 8 o'clock that night to arrest Simon. Simon eludes arrest by taking poison. As he is dying, he confesses to Padre Florentino, revealing his true identity. His dastardly plan to use his wealth to avenge himself, and his sinister aim to destroy his friends and enemies. The confession of the dying Simon is long and painful. It is already night when Padre Florentino, wiping the sweat from his wrinkled brow, rises and begins to meditate. He consoles the dying man, saying, "God will forgive you, Senor Simon. He knows that we are fallible. He has seen that you have suffered, and in ordaining that the chastisement for your faults should come as death from the very ones you have instigated to crime, we can see His infinite mercy. He has frustrated your plans one by one, the best conceived, first by the death of Maria Clara, then by a lack of preparation. Then in some mysterious way, let us bow to His will and render Him thanks." Watching Simon die peacefully with a clear conscience and at peace with God, Padre Florentino falls upon his knees and prays for the dead jeweler. The priest then takes the treasure chest and throws it into the sea. Analysis of El Filibusterismo. Filipinos believed that El Filibusterismo was one of the novels that sparked the revolution. It is an account of the injustices that the Filipinos experienced under the Spanish government. El Filibusterismo is not just an ordinary story that we hear and read everywhere. It is a story that needs to be thoroughly analyzed in order to see what the objects and the characters represent. Upon reading El Filibusterismo multiple times, there are lessons that we have realized that up to date are still essential as we still face the same struggles as we have before. The first thing that we have noticed and intrigued us is the way Rizal described the steamship Tibu. The way the ship is divided into two parts, the upper deck and the lower, which represents the division between the Spaniards and Indios. Today, we may interpret this as the division of the rich being above while the poor being in the bottom, as they are not treated equally. The ship was also described as slow-moving, which represent the slow progress of the country under the Spanish rule despite having the promise of helping us to progress. The whitewashed walls that cover the dirt and rust symbolize the social injustices and unacceptable way of governing us but left unnoticed as the Spaniards used the name of God for their own intentions. The circular design of the steamer means that there is no progress and the government is in a cyclical movement as there is no concrete goal and purpose. Significant characters of El Filibusterismo. Simon, Crisostomo Ibarra in disguise, presumed dead at the end of Nolime Tangere. Ibarra has returned as the wealthy jeweler Simon. He was derisively described by Custodio and Benzaib as an American mulatto or a British Indian. Basilio, son of Sisa. He is a quiet, contemplative man who is more aware of his immediate duties as a servant, doctor, and member of the student association than he is of politics or patriotic endeavors. Isagani, Basilio's friend. He is described as a poet, taller and more robust than Basilio. Father Florentino, Isagani's uncle and a retired priest. Father Fernandez, a Dominican who was a friend of Isagani. Capitan Tiago, Don Santiago de los Santos, Maria Clara's father. Captain General, the highest-ranking official in the Philippines during the Spanish colonial period. The Captain General in the novel is Simon's friend and confidant. Father Bernardo Salve, the former parish priest of San Diego in Nolime Tangere and now the director and chaplain of Santa Clara Convent. Quiroga, a Chinese businessman who aspired to be a consul for China in the Philippines. Don Custodio, a famous contractor who was tasked by the Captain General to develop the Students' Association's proposal for an academy for the teaching of Spanish. Bin Zaib, a columnist for the Manila Spanish newspaper El Grito de la Integridad. Father Camora, the parish priest of Tiani, Bin Zaib's regular foil. Father Irene, Capitan Tiago's spiritual advisor. Paulita Gomez, the girlfriend of Isagani and the niece of Doña Victorina. Doña Victorina, an ambitious Filipina who classifies herself as a Spanish. Don Tiburcio, husband of Doña Victorina. He was known for charging exorbitant fees for his medical treatment. Cabezang Talis, a former cabeza de barangay of Barrio Sagpang in Tiani. Tandang Celo, father of Cabezang Talis and grandfather of Tano and Julie, a deer hunter and later a broom maker. Julie, the girlfriend of Basilio and the youngest daughter of Cabezang Talis. Tano, Cabezang Talis' son. He was nicknamed Carolino after returning from Guardia Civil training in the Carolines. Hermana Pinchang, the one among the rich folks of Tiani who lent Julie money to ransom Cabezang Talis from the bandits. Hermana Bali, Julie's mother figure and counselor. She accompanied Julie in her efforts to secure Cabezang Talis' ransom and later on Basilio's release. Sandoval, a peninsular who had come to Manila as a government employee. Pecson, he is Sandoval's regular foil. Juanito Pilais is Isagani's rival for Paulita Gomez's affection. Difference of No Limit Tangere and El Filibusterismo. No Limit Tangere is a love story or a romantic novel dedicated to our motherland, while El Filibusterismo is a political novel associated with revenge and anger and is dedicated to Gumborsa. The first is more on action and motion. The latter is thoughtful, discursive, and dialectal. No Limit Tangere describes revival in thought long dead, while El Filibusterismo describes the inconvenience oneself of society today. Moral lessons. No Limit Tangere tells us that we should reflect on our actions and beliefs for our country. The theme of the novel is to promote nationalism and to accept change in ourselves. It still applies to us today. It teaches us the values of wisdom, fighting what is right, and loving our country. Seeking justice should be placed on the hands of the authorities and not on the hands of the ones seeking it. Knowledge is more important than gold. El Filibusterismo aims at enlightening the society and at bringing the Filipinos closer to the truth. Vengeance is not for man to undertake. Every action has its own consequences. El Filibusterismo showed us how anger and vengeance can take over a person's being. El Filibusterismo also shares the theme that violence is not the answer. So I think that is all. Thank you.